Hello, internet strangers, welcome back to Hopsy. First of all, thank you for coming back to the channel, watching this video. I'm sorry it took so long. If you're a new grad in tech, especially cybersecurity, if you're in web dev, geez, you guys are having a terrible time. But yeah, it's not a fun space. I kind of just lost motivation to make videos for a little bit. We're back. I promise I was doing stuff. I ran, the Brisbane Marathon because, it's easier than therapy. But yeah, anyway, so videos here. We're gonna get jumping straight into that. If you want like a little bit longer rant, it will be at the end. So yeah, let's go to Porkbun. So on Porkbun, you have your domain name. Hopefully you have a domain. We're using the same one as last time, no point changing it. In terms of the actual records, it's the same. We have the hopsypopsy.com and mail.hopsypopsy.com. And then we also have the MX record. I have a new record here, but this is for website. And I've removed the DMARC, SPF, and DKIM records because we'll need to reconfigure those for the new VPS. And I do have a new VPS. This is a different IP address. The other one was like 43 something. Jumping again, we get to our VPS. We obviously should just do our basic setup, which will be to update packages and then upgrade. I believe I did this recently, so hopefully it's not going to take too long. But everyone should do this as soon as they get the VPS. Now we're going to upgrade. We'll press yes to upgrade everything. And then after that, we're going to install all the specific features we need to get this email server running. And so what that means, we'll install Postfix. I believe that means this should be done. Okay, perfect. I'll show you the command. This is the command. Go back. We're going to install just generic Postfix. Then we're also going to install MySQL, so which is just the MySQL integration for Postfix. Then we're going to go Dovecot with the core, so core functionality. This is going to be IMAP protocol, so it can support syncing with Outlook, since I believe I want to connect this to Outlook. It can also connect to Thunderbird and I think other mail clients. Just I intend again on using Outlook. This is for POP3 protocol support. It's not used that much, but you might need it. This is LMTP support, so like local mail transfer protocol, and then you have just Dovecot again, MySQL, so support for that, and then the server, MySQL server, because we obviously need a database. Once you get to this screen, you're going to pick number 2, internet site. Of course, we have access to reverse DNS. We'll have no problems with just mail being sent and received directly using SMTP. And the other options don't really work for our use case anyway, so like no configuration and local network only. We don't have a satellite system, and the smart host is, I believe, if someone else is sending your mail for you. So yeah, anyway, we're just going to use internet site, press OK on that. Then you're going to come here and you're going to put your system mail name, which should be hopsypopsy.com. Let me just double check that this is what the internet says. Yes, I believe this is correct. System mail name, and my VPS was lagging for a second. Okay, perfect. Now it's going to set that up for us. So hopefully your install installs perfectly without any problems. MySQL, I did read, occasionally doesn't install properly. There are alternatives. I believe MariaDB or Redis both kind of work as alternatives. I do already have an existing SSL for just hopsypopsy.com because I have my website which has an SSL cert. So if you don't know how to do that, you will install certbot, and then you'll just run the command that's going to do a test to see if you actually own the domain, and if you do, then they'll give you the certificate. So I'll show you that command now. Okay, so this is the command we're using. I had to stop my Nginx server because that was messing with port 80. So that's why you see that I've reset the command line. But we're using certbot. We're asking for the cert. It's a standalone. That's important because currently I have a cert under hopsypopsy.com, but I want this to be under mail.hopsypopsy.com, separation, 2 different types of certs. Just 2 different certs. The domain name is obviously hopsypopsy.com, and we want to force renewal. So we're going to press enter. It's now going to do the challenge to determine if I own the domain. So then it will give us a certificate if we pass the challenge. If we don't pass the challenge, it won't. So now we can see we successfully received certificate. It's here and here. It expires on here. It's scheduled to automatically renew the certificate in the background, which is perfect. Now we're going to do MySQL secure installation. All this is going to do is make sure that like our database is not insecure, because obviously we need to set up the mailbox database and then the sub tables, which will be like domains, users, and aliases. With the actual secure installation though, remove anonymous users. So we obviously don't want like anon users accessing MySQL. Disable root login remotely 100%. Remove test databases and access to it 100%. And reload table privileges now, yes. One thing you will also get if you do this the first time is it'll ask you for password strength. And from what I recall, I pressed 2 because number 3 had file list or word list requirements. And I didn't want to do that. I thought it was just easier to have a much more simple password. Now, in regards to logging in, I didn't obviously set a password. And that happens because it just accepts your root. So I'm currently logged in as root, obviously. And then this is the password, which we can just press enter and log in because we're logged in as root locally. If this was an external thing, we wouldn't be able to do that. Now I want to create the database. So you're going to see a bunch of copied commands. The first thing is we're going to create like the database mailbox. And I believe that, wait, show databases. I think I already did this, unfortunately. Yes, we have the mailbox database already. Next, we're going to actually create the user, sorry. So here we go. I'm going to blur out the password. That's the password, and I'm going to clear it. So I can't, okay, doesn't matter. We'll just blur it out. Then we're going to, so that created the user with a password. Now we're going to grant select on the mailbox to that user that we just made. So they can obviously query it. And then we're going to flush the privileges like so. And now that basically that's created that database, we should now go create like actual tables in the database. So for that, we're going to use mailbox, which means we've now changed databases. And I believe, I'm not sure if I have to do this line by line, but we'll just try it out. Like so, we're going to create this, which is awesome. We created a table called domains. You can read what the identifying variables are, but for example, an ID, it's an int, it can't be null. Here we have a name, it's 128 chars long. It can also not be null. And we have this engine here. We also will create a table called users. So we created domains, now we want one for users. This is going to be user information. And then we're going to create a table called aliases. I got this from a tutorial, so this is pretty standard email database setup. And now that we've essentially added these tables, we would like to add a domain as well. So let me just fix that up. So for you guys, this will be, your domain. Mine's hopsypopsy.com. So if I grab this here, which should be hopsypopsy.com like so, I believe this is insert into domains name, values, hopsypopsy.com. Let me just verify everything's correct. Yes. And then if we select all from domains, we can see that we have hopsypopsy.com set in here. Now what we want to do is actually add users to the user table. So if I go here and we look at the user table, there's absolutely nothing inside. And so what that means is we need to essentially add users, which will be my main email user, sylvester@hopsypopsy.com. And then we'll also add the postmaster email address. So for that, we need to generate a hash. So you're going to take this command, dov adm password, and then this is the encryption. You're going to input a password. So if I do this, I will now have a password. And then I'll take the password, so you'll get it #6 #. Make sure you copy all of that in. We go back into this, enter, use mailbox. And what we'll do is we'll take this line here, which is going to insert into users, and then these are the fields: domain ID, password, email, values 1 hash. So this is where you're going to take the hash, which we just collected up here, and copy it again. Perfect. That's good. Now we're going to add additional mailboxes. So we're going to do the same thing here. Wait, sorry, I meant email addresses. We're just gonna change the hash. It's gonna be the same, haha. If you guys hack me, nice one. The user will be different, so this will be Sylvester at hopsy.com. I've just realized I didn't change this to be my domain name, which I will edit off camera, but make sure when you guys do this, you put your actual domain name here at example.org. So as I said, I changed the example.org to hopsypopsy.com. You can see we literally just have two queries that come through, 2 rows. Nothing special, it's just the postmaster and my email. The domain ID needs to be the same, don't change it because it's the same domain. The IDs 2 and 3, I had an ID 1, but I deleted that because I was testing and playing around. And yeah, I don't think this really matters, it's just going to be a lookup. And yeah, so now we're going to talk about the MTA, which is the transfer agent. How do our emails actually get sent and received to other mail servers? Okay, we could send locally. Even then, you still need an MTA, but we're not doing local sending. We wanted to send everywhere. So we just set up the database, but now let's go and set up the transfer agent. The first thing we're going to do is make a backup. So I'm just going to exit this. I'm going to copy like so. So what this does here is it takes the main.cf file and just makes a backup in the exact same folder. We're then going to cd to this main or main.cf. Actually, that's not a folder, sorry. Vim main.cf, awesome. And now the main things we want to change is the SSL here. We need to change these numbers. And then I also believe the host name should be changed to mail.hopsypopsy.com. I believe this is indeed the change we want to make. No, that's the host name. I think there's a domain name though. My destination, no, this is right. So the destination here is correct. So the only thing we do need to change is the SSL certs. And if you remember, we had it under the live for certbot. So the password will be etc let's encrypt live mail.hopsypopsy.com full chain.pem. And just so you guys are aware, this will be the exact same for you as well. The only difference will be the domain change. So live mail.hopsypopsy.com. And I realized I could have just copied that, but privkey.pem. Let me just verify. So etc let's encrypt live mail.hopsy full chain pem. Yeah, okay, that looks good. So the only changes we made were this. I believe server.hopsypopsy.com is okay for now. Okay, I definitely lied. We want to make this mail.hopsypopsy.com because server, we didn't have a TLS for that, but we do have a TLS for mail. I'm just gonna have to change some binary lane. You have the server name for FDQN and the reverse pointer. I'm just gonna change that to mail.hopsypopsy.com so everything works out. But yes, you definitely want to change this. I had a little bit of a brain fart moment. Now what we can also do is we're going to create MySQL configuration files. So for example, we'll have one here. So if I just vim this, it's going to be a lot of configuration files. You're going to input stuff like so. All you need to change on this file is the user pass, mail user pass. And that was identified when we created the mail user right after we created the database. So you have put in some sort of secure password, and that's what you're changing here. In terms of everything else, mail user is fine because that's what I just called the user. So leave that. Host is what we put it at. We put it at 127.0.0.1. The DB name is mailbox. That's the mail database we created. And then this is a query that's just going to query like domains for this when name equals this. And so, yeah, we just change the mail user pass. Then what you're going to do is there's 4 of them. So let me just verify that. Okay, perfect. Now you're going to have to just copy these file paths. And if I do this, so this is a new file that I just created. This wasn't existing, so you will need to create this yourself. So again, just right quit. You'll do the same thing again. It's basically each table we made. So we had one for domains, we had one for mailboxes, we had one for aliases, and then there's a direct email lookup as well. If I just copy this and then copy this, that's not what I was trying to copy. Oh, well, 1 out of 4 bad copies. That's not too time wasting. Okay, awesome. So now we have all 4. Let's just verify like the last 2. Yeah, looks right. Again, just change the password. I'm gonna do it off camera. I don't want to like dox my password. But then after this, we're gonna check the postfix configuration just to see if it's okay, and then we'll move on. Like I said, I added my password to all the files, and now we're just going to verify that the syntax is okay. So postfix check, if nothing comes up, that's good. I'm just gonna run it again, because why not? Now we're going to restart postfix, see if there's any problems. Okay, we probably want to do this. Reload those units, and then restart it once again. No error, which is great. Then you can check the default settings like so, which will come up with a bunch of our default stuff. More testing time. What we're going to do here is check if we can currently like query the database. So this is for the domains database. 1 means successful. We're going to do the same and test users. So Sylvester at hopsy.com. Perfect. This is also set up. We didn't put anything into virtual aliases, so we don't need to do that. In terms of this part, that's kind of testing done. We set up the database. We know we can query it. And now we're going to move on to the master file. First things first is we want to make a copy of the master file. So let me just, that's a copy. ls, make sure the master backup is there. Yep, looks to be okay. Was the main master file right here. Okay, we have backups of both. This is a backup we did previously. Now we're going to open the main file, which you'll then see a bunch of stuff. Low-key kind of confusing, but most of this is commented out. In terms of what we need to uncomment and change, I found a tutorial. And this tutorial is very useful. Obviously, postfix and this whole entire setup is incredibly old. Of course, you know, it's being maintained, but in terms of the configuration and setup, stuff is I don't think people have been doing this recently. To be honest, I was reading overflow posts from like 10 years ago. But anyway, if you want to read the actual documentation, there's a lot in terms of the main.cf file and the master.cf file. Like this is just a sub breakout for specifically one thing, the queue support. So if you don't know what the queue support is, I was interested in why it had originating at the bottom. If I can find where originating is. Yeah, I was interested in this. So obviously I was searching up and, you know, we got to here, but we're just gonna follow this tutorial. The short things that are very important to know: SMTP, this is specifically talking about port 25, submission is 587, and then SMTPS is 465. We want to have all three of them, just in case. Obviously, 25 and 587 are going to have a different service block, because they are different. And essentially from this point, we're just going to copy this so we don't need to think about it too hard. I did find, like, there's this GitHub page that has a similar setup. They do it a little bit differently. So they have SMTP. They also do the submission. They include this. Their TLS is different. This part is kind of same. They don't uncomment SMTPS, but I like this one. It's very similar to what we've done essentially so far, and it's what I believe I'll use until we start testing. Like, we can test our email down here. So once I test the email, then I'll go back to just YOLOing it. But yeah, so we'll copy this. That's a really long way of saying we're going to copy the tutorial, but that's my editing. Let's pretend you didn't see that. Okay, so what we want to change first is this is already uncommented. If you want to read more, you can come here, but it wasn't actually that useful, believe it or not. I found the long documentation postfix to be more useful. But anyway, okay, so this was already unchecked. We want to uncheck this. According to, we want to uncheck this. We want to uncheck this. Uncheck this. Auth only. No. We don't need that. Now we need to add our own. So smtpd underscore sassel underscore type. These things do exist, by the way. I did actually search them up in the documentation. So like the tutorial didn't just make up a bunch of lines, obviously. It would be easier just to copy. I should do that, but you guys get to see the typing. Private score, private auth, and then the recipient. No, we do want that. We want this, and we want this. So let's just save that. Then obviously we need to do it again. So after that long, prolonged part, we can now change the what's called permissions. So the other group, they're going to have their read, write, and execute permissions removed from etc/postfix folder. Again, this is just security, so remove. And to apply all these changes, we restart postfix. It wants me to run this, so we'll run this. And now if I restart postfix, yeah, okay, cool. And now we get to go back to Dovecot configuration. There's a bunch of backups we need to make, so I'm just going to make all the backups right now on camera. You can see there's six files we will be changing. And then after we do this, I believe we can actually test the very basic email sending, and then yeah, okay, cool. So now the first file we're going to go to is the etc dovecot.conf file. But before we do that, I'm just going to end the recording and then I'll continue on from there. Okay, so vimming into said conf file, we can see this enable installed protocols. And we care about this because we want to enable IMAP, POP3, and LMTP. Currently, it just goes to this file and selects all from .protocol. I'm not really sure what's listed as .protocol. It could be correct. I don't really know, but it's honestly easier just to protocols equals to do this, POP3, LMTP. It's easy that way. And then if we also want to do the postmaster, so postmaster address, you don't need to comment this. This is just so I know what it is. So postmaster underscore address. Postmaster underscore address equals postmaster at hopsy.com. And I believe that's all I need to do. Protocols. Okay, awesome. That was config file number 1. Config file number 2. Once again, we are going to not do that. Okay, where is it? Dovecot conf.d 10 mail.conf. Perfect. Now we're going to scroll down to the mail location. So as we can see here, mail underscore location. Nope. Where is this one's more correct? Actually, none of these are correct. That's hilarious. We're just gonna do this. We'll just uncom this one. Remove this to this point. Var mail. So obviously using virtual hosts. Percentage D is the domain, and then percentage N is like the user, so Sylvester. And do they have... Oh, they had it down here. Okay. Well, this is going to be the new mail location. This one's going to be uncommented. Commented. And let's just find if they have mail underscore privileged group. Mail underscore privileged group equals mail. And I believe that's, yes, that's what we want to typically set to give access to var/mail. And we are in fact using var/mail for the vhosts. So yeah, that looks fine. And we can now right quit. Now we need to actually make the vhosts folder. Obviously this is different. I'm filming this over multiple days, so I kind of took a little bit of a gap. But so yeah, the first thing we're gonna do here is make directory p and then var mail vhosts, change example.org obviously to hopsy.com. So that's gonna make that directory. You can now, so if we go var mail vhosts, we'll see that hopsy.com is a folder. We're going to group add g vmail, user add v gmail. So this is again just, well, we're going to add permissions. And that is, well, we created the directories and the system users. Now, the next thing, we're going to go to this file. So we're still editing files. The last one was mailconf. This is authconf. And we want to scroll down to disable plaintext. On a quick inspection, I kind of realized the disable plaintext was like the first thing we saw. So we obviously want to enable that. If you want to read about it, it's literally right here what it does. Then we can go further down. And the other uncommented thing down here where it was auth mechanisms equals plain, we want to change it to plain login. Then we can go down. So this is obviously a list of wanted auth mechanisms. So plain and login are two valid ones. And then we come down here and we can see the do not include auth system. We want to include auth SQL conf.ext as well. So now we're going to exit from that. And we again have a different file to edit. There's quite a few of these. It's now an SQL file. So one cool thing about it is you can see this auth SQL conf.ext. That is literally what we just included in the previous conf file. So we're coming here, password DB. We want to make sure this is correct. This is SQL. This is /etc/dovecot sql.conf. Yeah, that looks fine. Now we're going to the user DB. We want the DB driver to be static. And we want to change this to something completely different. So we're going to remove this and add this. So the UID is vmail, the GID is vmail, and then the location is what we set up previously in the conf file. I don't believe we need to change anything. They had it down here. I could just uncommented this. That's okay. It's the same. So So we'll just write quit, verify that those changes were made. Those changes were indeed made. Perfect. Now the next file we want to edit is the Dovecot SQL.conf here, and I want to add in the driver. So driver equals MySQL. The connect, I'm just gonna make sure this isn't, it's here, this driver here. So we obviously want the driver to be MySQL. Then there's going to be a connect equals at some point. Connect equals, yep, this is perfect. This is the one we are going for here. Let's just go to the front. My host equals, that's not it. We put it on 127.0.0.1. So if you remember, again, we did the my host with, I forgot what we called the user. I think it wasn't Postmaster. I'll flash on the screen just for you guys to remember, but this is, I think it was maybe Mailbox. I low-key be forgetting. I kind of just look back at what I did to remind myself. This is mail user. Oh, okay, it was mail user. That was what it was, mail user at this. And then the password is your password. I'm not going to show that, but again, just the password we've been using this whole time. Insert that password here. Default pass scheme, we want this. It's going to be SHA-512 crypt. SHA-512 crypt. Again, this is just an up-to-date, like I think it was MD2. No one uses MD2 anymore. And then there should be the last one is the password query, which is here, but I want to find where it has the uncommented. So where's the hashtag password query? It is here. These are good examples. What do we want ours to be? So this is somewhat correct. Select. Okay, that's not. I'm just gonna write my own. It'll be easier this way. Oh, that was a pretty good. That was a pretty good answer. Oh well. I'll just copy this and then paste as so. So password query equals select email as user, password from users where email equals this. And I'm not sure if it shows you what that out here, entire user at domain. So that's what it's searching for here. And that is it for this section. I will need to remind myself to come back and update the password, but you guys make sure you put the correct password we used previously in here. So password was updated, and surprise, surprise, we have another config file. I believe this is almost done. So we're going to etc dovecot conf.d master conf, and we're looking at the service IMAP login. The thing we're most interested in is here. We want to do a port. The port is going to be 0 for the listener. The listener IMAPs are 993 and SSL is yes, which is perfect. Then we go to the POP login. Port is also going to be 0 for the listener. Then it's going to be 995 and yes, so this is perfect. We're just going to uncomment this. The submission login we don't care about. We care about the LMTP listener. The LMTP listener should be on mode 0600. I'm just taking this once again from the tutorial that I showed previously. The user is postfix, and the group equals postfix also. Then we go down to auth. I believe it is auth. Hold on, let me just make sure I actually edited the right thing. Service LMTP Unix listener. Unix listener LMTP, this is the wrong path. That would have gone badly. Var spool postfix private Dovecot LMTP postfix. Okay, perfect. And I believe the other two were fine. POP3 login was fine, and the IMAP login was also fine. Always good to double check, I guess. Now we're going back to the service auth. So that is here. The service auth, then we have the Unix listener. We need to change this as well. So var spool postfix private Dovecot, private auth. And I believe that's it. The mode is 0660. The user is postfix and the group is postfix. And the group is postfix. If I could spell. Then we have, okay, so we did service auth listener. There should be a Unix listener as well. It was down here. I could just uncommented this. That's so irritating. I did not need to change that. Unix auth user DB. Is there an auth user DB? Okay, I guess I'll just have to uncomment this. This is why you should read before you start editing the config file. But auth user DB, at least you won't need to because you saw me make the mistake. Mode 0660 0600 and the user equals vmail. Close this off as well, and then at the end we have to have user equals and then Dovecot. I don't think there's anything. Oh, it's service auth worker, and then the user equals vmail as well. So let's just go from the bottom down. The service auth worker is vmail, which is correct. We then have this whole entire service auth section where we have two Unix listeners. One Unix listener is in var spool postfix private auth. Its mode is 0660, postfix and postfix for user and group. We then have Unix listener auth user DB. The mode is 0600 and the user is vmail. And finally, outside of the brackets for both of these, we have the user equals Dovecot. I believe this should be connecting to this, which is what we want. But for some reason, it's not going blue, which is a little bit... maybe there's a missing bracket close. I don't believe there is though, so let's just hope that'll be fine. If it's not fine, we know where there could be a problem. This is the service LMTP, which we changed to have the Unix listener at this location, which is var spool postfix private Dovecot LMTP. Mode is again 0600, postfix for user and postfix for group. And then we have the POP3 login, which is the INET listener on POP3. The port is 0. We have the INET listener on POP3S, port 995, and the SSL is turned on. Then the final thing we need to check is the INET. So IMAP login, again, listener is just port 0, and the listener for the IMAPs is 993, and yes. I do believe the closing is here, okay? And that's that. There's no more changes in this config file, so we can right quit. And next we need to edit the SSL. So like I said, we're going to edit SSL, which means we need to go to the SSL config file, which 10 SSL conf. The first thing we set is SSL equals yes, which is perfect. The cert paths are different. We need to change these. Also, the key names are incorrect. Let me just copy it. It'll be easier. So when you write this in, use the same SSL cert path, but here you have to change the mail to hopsypopsy.com, and then you'll do the same for the next one. So if we just delete all of this and put it as hopsypopsy.com, I believe that looks fine. Looks fine. Perfect. There's no other changes that need to be made. Now what we need to do is change the file permissions. So again, this is remove, read, write, execute on others in this file. Then we're going to system restart Dovecot. I assume I'm going to have to do the restart. Okay, never mind. We did not. I quickly want to try and do a test email to see if that'll work. So to do that, we're going to apt-get install mail utils. And this is what you do for, again, just a test email from the server. Okay, so this was a little bit of a time skip, but it was deliberate because the sending I did externally didn't work anyway. So then I tried to do like an internal send, and that also didn't work. If you just read the postfix logs, you can see we try and send it here, and then we go from root, it's queue active, which is fine, but then we get the status bounced, unknown user, and then this is the like non-delivery stuff at the bottom. And then I guess the non-delivery is delivered to the mailbox. And so from what I believe, that is when we were configuring the postfix, like at this point, like half an hour ago in the video time, we didn't put mail.hopsypopsy.com, or we didn't put hopsypopsy.com in the domain for the basic postfix setup. So as I said before, I believe the problem is here in the my destination. So I think what I need it to be is literally just localhost. I'm not entirely sure how true that actually is, but we're going to try just the localhost now. If it doesn't work, I can just reset it and come back to what it currently is. So that's been write and quit. I will need to restart postfix, I believe. So give me a second, just find the postfix restart. Actually, postfix check first. Postfix check. Should be fine. Perfect. Postfix restart. Okay, awesome. Now we can run this. See if we have it in my... Where is it? Sylvester. 0 messages still, which isn't good. Grep. So what happened here? Server system deactivated successfully. Stop. Terminating. Blah blah. When did this happen? 14. I don't know if it sent it, so let's just send it one more time. Echo my message. Sudo look. Do we have... Okay, we have a double. We have a double. Q reply. Mail for loops back to myself. So I fixed the loopback error. If we come into here, I changed the main.cf file significantly. If you take a look, this is still mail.cf, but we now added a my domain and my origin. My destination, like I said, just changed to localhost. The real other big changes is the section down here. So I was reading quite a lot of posts. The main ones being like everyone has virtual mailboxes. If you read this guy's config, he also has virtual mailboxes. I just believe the way my thing was resolving here, again, you'll probably see virtual domains. But in short, we kind of were lacking a lot in the main.cf file for config. I also found in the tutorial we were using before, they do give you a example postfix cf file. And if you're to like look at what they've included, it's significantly different to what we have. I don't know, there's a little bit of duplication. It seems I didn't see any different Like even the comments here are the same, so I think this is just duplicated. But in terms of what I want to do, because we have another error. If we come down here and we take a look at what's currently happening, we can see we have this Dovecot problem. I then searched up what this would be, and it said like you should try this because this resolves to a person. Then then it's fine, and that's not what the problem is. But because it's obviously not resolving, I had to stop it. That means I can't find the user, or I'm just having a problem accessing that. So maybe like a password configuration somewhere is wrong. So I need to work that out now. And once I figure that out, I'm going to mess around with the main.cf file a little bit more, copy it like this main.cf file, as I said previously. And if this doesn't fix it, then I will go through and try and find where that Dovecot problem is. Okay, so after quite a bit of playing around, we basically determined there's two problems, the local mail and the SMTP mail. So what I've gone with is I focus on local mail. You can see I had a bunch of connect issues. The reason is it connected to the database mail user at local wasn't working. It just refused to connect. Now down here, you can say we do get the LMTP connect from local. The only problem now is the directory is not working, so I need to go and find out why this directory, I believe the creation of the Sylvester file is incorrect. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm gonna have a quick gaze at that. I think that should be the problem because we are now connecting to it, so I think just where it's trying to save it is what's messing up. In terms of, let me think. In terms of the SMTP, I found out that if I quit this and we go look at Dovecot, oh wait, this is Dovecot. If I can find quickly, I'm not sure if I will be able to actually, but the problem with the other stuff, once it shows up, this is a great wave. Syslog. Where is it going to show? Basically, it's got a problem with routing through port 25. I'm not going to see if it says it here. I haven't tried sending externally, so I don't think it's going to care too much right now. Maybe if I do an internal send, and then, so I send this to this, and then I try and read to this, mail delayed, blah, blah, blah. Internal error, refer to server log. Okay. Well, regardless, we have a problem with external sending because port 25 is blocked. So when I was trying to send in my test to Proton Mail, it wasn't sending because it said I couldn't connect, and I couldn't connect on port 25. So I'm not entirely sure how I'll fix that now. I know previously we just routed it via like a relay host when I did on my local, and then had the VPS in the middle. But obviously, because we're just using the VPS, we can't really just route it, I don't believe. So once I find a solution to that, I'll come back and show you guys. Okay, so what I believe the issue is for the LMTP is basically the files are incorrect when you come into the vhost hopsypopsy.com and you start looking at like the file types. This is not a directory. If you just do like file Sylvester at this point, it's empty, and then yeah, you can open it, there's nothing there. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to delete Sylvester, I'm going to remove user, and then we're going to try and send local. And now just have a quick look. So now we have a Sylvester file, right? Which is exactly what we wanted, because we will have the temp cur blah 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 and all the utility files. So when we do the test to see the actual like did anything show up, so if I take this but I go Sylvester, my bad, Hopsy Sylvester, we can see there's one new message, and we can view that this actually showed up. I'm not sure how to view. Oh, I can enter the number, my bad, my message. So we can see here, deliver to, received. subject is subject, which is exactly what we wanted. Again, if we want to change that, we can go subject test subject. Let's just one line in case it doesn't work. Echo, does this work? So now we should have two, and then perfect test subject, does this work? Which is what we expected to see. Now all we have to do is the SMTP, fix that, and once that works, we can move on to the final parts of the keys and SPF records and all the records we need, so we're not going to get our emails rejected by other clients. Okay, so if you remember, we had the problem that the connection was being refused on port 25. Now, if I do go to this, it's not going to show you, so unfortunately, I'll just flash the log on the screen. You won't see it in real time, but that's okay. If we go to binary lane, which is the VPS for hosting, you can come up here, port blocking, and just unblock. So it was previously ticked, blocking email on port 25, which is what we didn't want. You just unblock it, save and apply. This is not an ad for binary lane, by the way. This is just, they have a very easy way of removing this. I'm not sure if other VPSs make it as easy. Sometimes you need to email them, but yeah, very, very easy way with binary lane. So what we're going to do is we're just going to send, I'm going to do it email test. What's up? Let's call it like, we can send emails wmans. Okay, hopefully I didn't send something like that previously. Let me pull up my inbox on the side here and just wait for the email to come through. Still waiting. Actually, we can check a look in the postfix here so we can see. Connect, we don't care about that. It was here, message ID. It was put in the queue. It was then sent. Because we have status equals sent and 250, we have an OK. You should get 200 OK. 200 OK, yeah, there you go. And that was removed. So if I have a look at my Proton mail here, I'll just pull it up. We can see from sylvester@hopsyposse.com to chadprice007@proton.me. We can send emails wman, and this says email test. Now, one problem we currently have is on the reverse, so sending back, sorry, w status. We don't have port 25 open to receive. So if we reply back, we're not going to get, emails in. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once, and that's not working. So we're going to allow on the TCP, side. Do I want to do anything else? No, I just want to allow 25. UFW allow. So both rules were added. Is there anything else? No, I don't think so. So now I'm going to reply on this screen. We can go back to my Proton email reply. Hey, this is a reply to your awesome email. Hope all is well. Let's get this video done. Smiley face. And yeah, this video took a while. Luckily, that tutorial was low-key goated. And we're going to press send. So that's sending in the bottom. And now it has apparently sent. So we can come here. How do I view the email inbox again? It's up here somewhere. I refuse to retype it out. Here we go. We still haven't gotten it yet, so I'm just gonna queue. For inboxes, I'm not sure. So we're gonna look at this in a few seconds once I get the email or I don't get the email, and we'll talk about it then. Fortunately, we don't need to debug anything. We have the email. You can see that I did get one from Chad Price and I was testing before. This obviously just delayed late because port 25 was blocked for incoming. But this 13 Chad Price here is the one we are interested in. So you just type 13. Yo, sending this back just to test because it's important. That's not what I said. That's kind of funny. Maybe I haven't received the other one yet. 10. Oh, okay. Apparently it's 10. Hey, this is a reply to your awesome email. Hope all is well, and let's get this vid done. Smiley face. I don't know why the equals are here, but we're just gonna accept that worked. So we've swapped computers to a completely different device. I'm using Thunderbird as the client. You can use Outlook, but I don't use Outlook since that's got my actual emails on it. And just in case something happens to mess up, don't want to combine the two. But the setup's the same, so this would work just for Outlook like it would work anywhere else. In terms of what you do, you'd come here, Thunderbird settings, new account, mail account. Then you'll type in your mail address. So for us, it's hopsy.com. Then we'll continue. It looks up the configuration, but we will have to do this manually. Autoconfig never really worked for me. So now it's gonna be like, ooh, searching. So it did find some settings. We're going to continue and edit in configuration. So you do want for your IMAP to be mail.hopsypopsy.com as the host name. The port, of course, is 993. Username should not be this. The username should be user@hopsypopsy.com. And I believe normal password is okay. So we'll go continue. Then for SMTP, we want to be using a different port 587, and we want to be using start TLS, which is good. And then the same thing here, sylvester@hopsypopsy.com as the username. So basically the two things. So if we go back, same thing with the username here. You want to keep that. Now we're going to test. The following test settings were found. Okay. Test, smiley face, continue. Yes, remember the password. You guys can't see the password. Perfect. This is the password we have for the user. So whatever you guys put in earlier. Let me restart. This is a long password, and I tend to mess it up. Also, for some reason, if you have a problem with your password, sometimes I needed to reset it in my database, which was kind of strange. Thunderbird unable to find connect services, that's fine. Okay, email accounts connected successfully. So we now have sylvester@hopsypost.com in here. So if we go to actual mail, we can go to the inbox. You can see a bunch of the stuff, previously sent messages. We don't really care about that. We want to send something to Chad Price. Subject, hey, does this work? Try and send. Apparently, I don't have the passwords. Let me just retype that in, even though we totally just put in. Very cool. So that's sent a message. Luckily, here I have, well, me recording, but we also have my test messages from previously. We should now refresh and hopefully see a new email. What's the time now? 5, so that hasn't arrived in my inbox yet. Okay, there we go. It's arrived in my inbox. Hey, does this work? I can't spell properly, but that's fine. Yes, this did work. Sending back. Cool. Now we're sending back. We can go back here and just wait for that to appear. I actually have no idea how to refresh this inbox, which is really funny. Maybe it's up here. Nope. If I refresh like this, is that a thing? No. Show get messages. Okay. Well, there you go. There's the new email message I just responded back. If we open this, yes, this did work, sending back. So emails do work. Obviously, I sent it to Proton Mail just to show you like an immediate test. These are completely different emails. So now we can jump back to do our DKIM, SPF, and DMARC records. Yeah, so probably the easiest thing to set up first is SPF. And I've logged onto Pork1 because we obviously do the same thing we did with the mail server last time when we did on MailCow. Here we can see the sender policy framework. We're going to use the same thing we used, which is basically v equals SPF1, anything that's an A record or MX record. So if you don't remember our A and MX records, we come here. Our A record is hopsypost.com. Our A record is mail.hopsypost.com and this. And then, so basically it's just pointing at these records, which are then pointing at this IP address. So we're essentially saying our IP address is the only one that is allowed to send, and minus all means fail everything else. See, so I don't think it actually says it here, but everything else will fail that doesn't meet the A or MX record requirement. So you come here, you make a text record, so, and then you copy this in. Leave this blank because we just want this hopsypopsy.com, and we'll just call it SPF record add. Like I said, we'll be doing DKIM next, and unfortunately it's not as easy as SPF and DMARC will be. So first we're going to apt install open DKIM and open DKIM tools, and we'll need this because we'll be generating essentially our DKIM key. Let that do its thing. Once this is set up, we're going to make the directory of the keys. So make directory, and then you see etc. Open DKIM keys. We're going to change permissions, obviously, and change the ownership. That looks right. Yep, perfect. So now what do we want to do? We want to edit open dkim.conf. And what do I want to change? So if we come down, so essentially you want to undisable a bunch of things. So mode SV, take that out. There's a inet section for the socket we need to find. So we don't want to be using this one. We want to be using this one at, I'm not sure if we can use this. I'm going to change it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe that's just a port anyway. Then we go to user ID, open DKIM, and then open DKIM. This is purely from the tutorial I'm following, so there's nothing. I'm not going to try and pretend I know why I'm doing this. This looks fine. No, it doesn't. Var run open DKIM. Yep, that looks good. Then we have the syslog stuff up here. Syslog, yes. Syslog success, yes. I can't say that canonicalization. Relaxed simple looks correct. Internal hosts, now I have to go back down to hosts. Internal hosts is here. This is not the what we want, so what I'm going to do is add my own internal hosts. Then it should be like so /etc open DKIM /trusted hosts. Then we need a signing table, which we don't have. Signing table. I made a mistake spelling before, so I just want to like make sure I'm not going to do that again. In DKIM signing table. Key table. Do we have a key table? I don't believe we do. Key table /open Jesus. Key table. Signature. Do we have a signature? I don't think I saw it. No. Okay. I'm just gonna keep like typing this out. Key table signing. We'll copy it in like this, make it easier. So we have key table, signature algorithm, and oversign headers. I don't believe I saw oversign headers anywhere else. Let me just... Oh, here, oversign headers from... Okay, I can remove from the bottom then. We don't need this. And then this trust anchor file, I don't know if we need that, but that's okay. Now we have to go to add trusted hosts. So vim slash open DKIM trusted hosts. We are defining this. Again, that's why we specified it in the previous signing table. I just realized I left as example.org. Cool. I'm obviously going to change example. That was a mistake. I've also just realized it's probably better to rename this to like default. I know that, hello? I know that they have it in the tutorial as example, but I think default makes more intuitive sense, I guess. Because I was a little bit confused reading that the first time. So if we come here, we once again will need to do this, but I will actually change everything. So we're going to call it default.key. Maybe default is not a good... That's okay. We'll see if it messes up with some sort of name problems. Default. Okay, perfect. So now we actually get to generate the keys. If we go here, we're going to generate key like this, but actually generate it for my cool. That should have generated default key. Default. Yep, that looks good. Do this and do this. Perfect. Now what do we need to do? Add the public key from TO domains. Okay, so test DNS. Okay, perfect. So if we go look at the public key, cd keys, ls vim default.pub.key. Perfect, this is my pub key. We're going to take this and go to pork bun. Leave this again as blank, but I need to change this to txt or else. Okay, so we did consult the internet. We took that default domain key that was at the front and we put up here. We removed the brackets completely. So if we just pull this open again, we took this, then we removed the gap and spaces and the speech marks. We took this whole section. I removed the spaces in between. We don't really need that. And then I took the P, which was all this, and added that. And then we took all of this and added that to the bottom of this with no gap. And this should be like the correct way of storing this. And so add it now. I don't think I changed anything else. No, I didn't. I'll add it now. We can see that it's been added down here, which is perfect. And we should go and test, see if on a quit, just in case I accidentally change something. We can actually test via this. Let's show up. I'm not sure if it would have propagated by now. Well, we can see text v. So it seems something's appeared, which is good. Let me just verify again. Yep. Okay. We should now restart this. And we'll test this, but change the to hopsy.com. Key OK, key not secure. Apparently we can ignore this because we're not using DNSSEC. And yeah, now we need to integrate it with Postfix. So if we go to Vim, this is a lot. This app DKIM yourself, it is a lot. We go to the bottom here. We haven't been using this for a long time. Well, we can see here it's except 6, this and this, which is exactly what we want. And now we restart Postfix. Perfect. We can also now send an email to a DKIM verification service. I don't remember if I scroll up here and find when we were testing emails. There should be quite an easy way. Yeah, perfect. Hello world, mail subject. We'll do my favorite, Sylvester at hopsypopsy.com. We'll change the recipient. So that should now be the guys we're testing with. And that email address is, what's easier? Check auth2 at verifier, verifier.port25.com. Cool, that should send itself off. And now we need to check the email headers and just see if that worked. So I'm pretty confident the DKIM is fine. Now we want to go and set the DMARC, which will be much quicker. I want to obviously quarantine. So none means if it fails, do nothing. And that's kind of like, what was the point of setting this up if we're going to do nothing? I want to quarantine it to send it to junk if it fails, which from what I've read online is basically just a soft fail, because if you're not configured properly, it will still go to your junk. It won't bounce. And I think that's what you want, especially when testing. I don't just reject everything. And the aggregate data reporting address, I just saw everyone does DMARC at their email address. We obviously don't have a DMARC at hopsypops.com, but I don't really think that'll matter. At least not now. And cool. So we have this, which means I need to open up pork bun again, add another txt record. I believe it wants me to post it at that specific address. So if we take this underscore, I just need to read that to make sure that was correct. The underscore DMARC. This is what should be in here, and press add. So cool, now we have the DMARC, we have the DKIM, and we have the SPF record. Now I want to just test, see if, yeah, so if we come here, this is MX, we used this last time, we see we have an SPF record, we have a DMARC record, and we have DKIM here it says we have a DKIM. If we look up again, yeah, perfect. I don't know why it's complaining about this at the bottom. It really should. Yeah, okay, there we go. This is all. Still doesn't find my DMARC record. That's weird. Very weird. Let's just refresh the page. Look up. Default. Okay, well, it has my DMARC now, and it has my DKIM, which is perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to see. So we've set up everything, like I said, in terms of those records, but I want to test now, like, will it go to junk? Because obviously if it's configured incorrectly, it should go to junk. We're sending this out. I don't think there's anything else I want to do while we wait. Might as well just, let's look at our, let's see what's happening right now. Did it, send, went to queue active, relay status 200, which is what we wanted. So that means that should be fine. So if I pull open, where did I put my inbox? Inbox, okay, here we go. So it didn't go to spam. I don't believe we can see view message details. No. View headers. We can see the signature, which is good. We see message ID, plain, begin. Okay, we don't care about that. DKIM pass, DMARC pass, SPF pass, non-D. Okay, so this all passed, which is exactly what we wanted to see. And yeah, that's perfect. So now the final step in terms of everything could be to set up Spam Assassin, because we obviously don't be getting a bunch of spam and other stuff into our inbox. So, like I said, Spam Assassin next. Again, we need to typically install it. Once that's installed, we will then add the spamd user. This might take a little bit of time though. Okay, so it was updated. Now, like I said, we're going to add the user with disabled login, create the new values. So we need to add user, blah, blah, adding new group, blah, blah, creating home directory, copying files, change user information, enter the new value, or press enter full name. Sylvester. My full name is Sylvester. My room number, yes. That's really strange. Okay, anyway. Now we need to configure. I've never seen that. Default spam. Okay, maybe I need to write this. Assassin. What am I oh wait, I'm not even there yet. There is the spamd. That's strange. Well, we have spam assassin now. Spam. Now I need to do spam roles. Spam assassin. I don't know why it wasn't let me do anything. Okay, cool. So this is where you set like the actual spam roles. In terms of what I've unticked, we unticked this subject header. Basically, it's going to add this header to the emails that are spam, and it will include the spam score so you can see what spam score you have. Here we unticked report safe and gave it 0. So this shows spam as plain message with no attachment, which is obviously safer. Then we come down and we have required score, and this is the score needed to basically be a spam email, and I believe 5 is, well, 5 is common, and then I think 4 is stricter filtering. But everything above 5 is considered spam from what I understand. Then we come down and use Bayes. This is literally just like a filtering, and then I'm basically just using the default setup for Bayes filtering, and I don't believe I enabled, disabled anything else here. No, I think this is all fine. And yeah, so basically that's all the changes we made. So if we right quit that, we need to go and actually enable it in postfix master.cf. So where do I want to put it? I'll put the bottom here. So we'll come here. I'll just copy this entirely like so. So again, oh, actually I don't need to do that. Yeah, that'll probably mess up a few things if I have it like this. Let's remove that. Is this? No, this is the wrong one. Will v y v x. That can stay like that. This needs to go in the SMTP inet. Yeah, it needs to go in. No, I lie. It's fine. It can be by itself down the bottom if something messes up. Then we know why. Okay, cool. We'll remove this. Right quit again. Now we're going to start spam assassin. That's strange. Upon quick research and just like a Stack Exchange post, it's spamd is the current service name goated post from 7 months ago. So we're going to do this, spamd. I believe you can enable it, so if we just do the same thing, so it starts on boot enable, cool. And if we go, if you're using systemd, we need to edit one more file just to make sure something is enabled. Spam assassin. We're going to do this enabled equals 1. And now we can restart postfix. Okay, definitely a slight lie there. You just need to go back to the master file and remove the second SMTP, put the filter equals spam assassin at the bottom of the previous one. Because when you're looking at logs, I don't know if I can scroll up and show you, you'll see there's a duplicate here, duplicate master service for SMTP, and that messes up everything. So if you want it to work properly, I'm not sure if this will show save mail to inbox here, it works. And if we're to send like another example mail right now, do I even have it open? No, I don't think so. Oh wait, yes I do. Pull this here, new message to me, testing lol haha, testing lol haha lol. Send. Then, oh, I got my testing email, that's cool. Then we can come down here, have a look. Well, we can look at the logs first if we really want to. We should be able send mail. We don't really care about that. Save mail to inbox, which is good. Which means if we come here and look, we can see this testing lol haha 21, and we can see the email. Obviously, I'm not looking at it from more. Let's press more because I think where's the actual like text? Oh, lame. Well, this is the message. I don't know where it actually is in all of this text, but it's here. This was the message, and yeah, so sending works, receiving works, everything works. That's the complete email setup. I'm not showing it to you on my Thunderbird on the computer, but that's okay. We tested it before. You saw that that works, and the fact that it works here means it will be displayed anyway in the Thunderbird. So yes. Okay, so I'm going to show you that email actually did work. Oh, hopefully that sounds okay on camera. If you see on the top there, you testing lol ha ha ha. I think that's what it says. Yeah, and then the rest of the emails we have from before. So it does work. I use Thunderbird, like I said, because Outlook is being used by my actual emails, and I just don't want to mix the two, and also don't expose my like 4 other email addresses. So I don't mind exposing Chad Fries. Who cares? That's a throwaway. I use that for my spam. But yeah, in terms of the email, right? So we did part 1, we did part 2, we did part 3. I think part 2 was the hardest, but that was because it was the biggest time investment. I had to learn a lot of stuff in terms of part 2 to part 3. A lot of that was transferable. But then at the same time, part 3 was made easier by the fact that there was a really good tutorial. If you were to do part 3 without the tutorial, you could be spending months. I'm like dead serious, you could be spending months on that. And the biggest problem is because there's so much documentation you need to read. Like I showed that master.cf file documentation, and you could genuinely spend days reading that. Like if you wanted to properly understand everything, days. I feel like you could read it for days. And I think that's the line between tutorial following and properly understanding is like, where do you sit between those two things? And sorry, and that's very important for me because I wanted to understand but also make the video. So yeah, I kind of, I would say, sat in the middle. I learned a lot, but some stuff I also just accepted for what it was and moved on. In terms of the average person doing this, so I'm going to just say straight away, if you have no interest in tech, don't self-host your mail. I think there's way too many security risks in misconfigured email accounts and misconfigured VPSs and all that. There's very high risk if you don't know what you're doing in tech, so don't do it. If you are a self-hosting nerd, like all of us are who follow this YouTube account, then yes, but you need to consider the amount of time you're going to put into maintaining it. Because sure, it's set up now, but then there's going to be updates and there's going to be changes and there's going to be this and that, and you just need to make sure your emails are safe because emails are the most important thing for your security online. Because at the end of the day, how do you reset stuff? Well, with your email address. Email gets the, hey, would like to reset your account. Saying that, activate two-factor authentication, please do it. As a cybersecurity guy, if I didn't tell you to do that, you probably save your accounts. Your password gets lost, but they don't have your Google Authenticator, whatever authenticator you're going to use. Please don't use phone number authentication. But saying that, again, time, it's just time. Like, are you willing to put this much time into self-hosting email? If you are, do it. If you're not, don't do it. I think my answer is as simple as that. And yeah, so if you like the video, please like the video. If you have any problems, comment them down below. I could have made this like a 2.5 hour video easily with all the debugging. It did take me a lot of debugging. I think video 2 actually took me about the same time as video 3. Video 3, I just had a bunch of other stuff going on at the same time, so I wasn't able just to sit down behind the computer for a whole week and do it. So I'm very sorry the video is coming out late, but I do hope everyone who watches this enjoys and that people actually get something out of this video. And if you do, some encouragement, if you want me to do something specific in the future, also leave a comment. If it gets enough traction, I'll happily make the video, even if it's like 1 or 2 likes. That's enough. I'm not sure where I want to go with my next channel video. It'll probably be like another cybersecurity basics while I wait for me to do some other stuff that I currently have going on, and then I'll make a video on that. But yeah, I hope everyone here enjoyed. It was a lot of work, so please like, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully I'll see everyone in the next one. Hopsy Popsy out.